Welcome to the MMHP in the 989, channeling all styles and eras of Michigan music history. Recorded live inside the Rock Legends Hall of Fame in Bay City, Michigan. Featuring Dr. J, Sir Fred, Mr. Mike, and your host, Scott Baker.
Welcome back to part 2 here in the MMHP in the 989 with Gil Clark. We want to thank you all for tuning in to part 1. In part 2, we're going to take off with some Grand Funk, Townes VanZandt, on how Townes loved Gil's music. We're going to talk about Gil's touring with Michael Katon in Europe, and you're going to want to tune into his thoughts with Don Brewer as a metronome. And after the podcast, even some great stories on Buddy Miles and his discs and tape store, as well as time with people that have come to his record store, like members of SRC, among others, and even a Blackfoot story at the end. So get ready for part 2. Here we go now.
People don't realize, with Mitch, these stories of, of Mitch, trying to pull him out of retirement. He said, if you bring the Cream, and Cream brought the Who. These are the first times these bands came here. It was because of Mitch. John, they were in the Valley with, you name it, the Monkees and Hendrix and whatever. It was like, it's crazy. Johnny can tell you, it's just amazing what they did. So, but
is the band in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Which one? No, Rockets.
Cleveland?
No.
Oh no, of course
he's
not.
barely got the 5 in finally.
No, that's one of the. There's a lot of Michigan.
Yeah.
Well, Grand Funk Railroad's not in there. And the Embassy 5 finally got in, and that is they had to put them
special,
special thing as influences, not as artists themselves. Geez, come on. I mean, even took Seger in 10 years or so before he was voted in. So,
and look at all those straight. I went to a record release thing with Rob, so because it became every 10 years. But I'll never forget because we went. Every album was gold in a row or whatever, or platinum. They had them all there up to whatever was getting released. Probably like, I don't know what we were at, like a Rock or something. But Grand Funk was that way. They had like 7 straight Capitol albums that were gold or something. It's like, what do you got to do to get in this place?
Well, right. From 1969 to probably 1975, they were probably one of the biggest bands in the world.
Yeah.
They're right up there with the Stones and Led Zeppelin and everybody else.
If I want to inspire myself, I put on the Shea Stadium, the version of Captain Closer. I don't even know if they had released it, but it's a little bit different arrangement. It's not the whole thing, but they just have this energy, man. It's like, so
That's cool.
I wish we're playing, so I can't see them because I did go up to the casino because just Mel, me, I'm a bass player. And so, and Don is amazing at how he's kept himself together.
I found some interesting stuff.
He's been with Seger, hasn't he?
For a long time.
Yeah. He stays pretty in shape on the road, that's for sure.
Oh, and then plus they had the version of Grand Funk without Mark Farner.
Yeah.
That was, I don't know if that's still going.
That's still going.
Okay, yeah.
It's been like, no, it's like been 25 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Since 80, since 97.
And it's funny, the new guitar player, I don't know, 5 years, whatever. He looks like Mark.
Oh, really?
Kind of like what Mark looks like now.
Cool.
If you were,
I know Bruce Kulick just left the band.
Yeah.
And so there's a guy taking
that
his spot.
That must have been him.
Yep.
Okay. But it's still the guy, and they're playing with 38 Special, and that guy was the one who did A Heart Needs a Second Chance.
Yeah, he's a singer. He's the vocalist.
So he's going to have both of his bands up there at the Cherry Festival. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I think it's the 4th or the 5th, but we're playing, so I can't go. But
I was going to tell you guys here a little tidbit coming from my question mark stuff that I've been digging into. But Q's like he had Mel Shocker in the band.
That's right.
Yeah,
and,
briefly.
And he says they're driving around with Farner, and Farner's talking about leaving Terry Knight,
Right.
And so Shocker's going to him, and in the meantime, they don't know how Q ended up with a single on Capitol Records, and it was Lily, his manager, signed something, and all of a sudden she went with a whole load of money, and Terry Knight, and they all of a sudden Q lost his deal with Capitol, ended up being on Ray Charles' label, getting produced for that after 45 came out, but Bob Seger and Mel jumped ship to go with Mark to go on Capitol. something with Capitol Records was in that mix right there. And Q goes, to this day, I can't figure out how that went all down. But it had to do with Lily and Terry Knight taking some money. And then Mel jumped ship with Mark and took off. And Bob and him had deals. And my 45 was the only thing we got out of the deal. And all at the same time, same months. So it's all right there, man. This little rock and roll history nugget, you know? It's like, yeah, it's crazy.
One of my favorite things are, and it's funny because I'm an album kid. You know, my dad was blue, like he liked the hardcore rockabilly. You know, because there's some real dark rockabilly like that. He liked blues. He went to black shows when he wore a hat, and you know, to see John Lee Hooker or whatever. He loved Jimmy Reed. But he was a 45 guy. He was a 50s 45 guy too. You know, all the one-hit wonder stuff. So
that's really, you know, albums were kind of an afterthought.
We couldn't get
up
them
until
to buy
about
now.
1965 or 66.
We couldn't get him to buy now. But I love record like 96 Tear. And I love playing. I was telling my band, I play in another band that was always going to bring this full circle with Dave, the Dave Gilbert band, a drummer who came through. I'm playing with again. He had moved to Traverse City.
Really?
Yeah, named Greg Bauer. So we're together again, however many years later.
Okay.
And then we have another guy. He's a guy named Scott, and he toured around with people back in the days. He's real tasty. But we play a lot of that stuff, and I love it. I like.
There's a little clip of you on. I don't know if it was on YouTube or is it on your Facebook page with a band called the Rockabilly Devils. And you're doing a little version of this song that was on an early Elvis album called Paralyzed.
Oh,
you're really doing a good version of it, too.
Okay.
But it's only like about 30 seconds.
I don't even know about it.
Yeah. So who's the Rockabilly Devils? They sound like pretty good.
I found a clip that I tried to share because it was the end of the night. It was 3. So this young guy, Cade, he's kind of American Idol. He can sing the whole Elvis, Johnny Cash, which right there is 4,000 songs, and it's his dad, and then the juggling cast. But I came in and played bass with him for a while.
Yeah.
And Cade is really, man, he's a great singer. After I kind of left them, I didn't see that they did much, but I saw they're doing a little bit this summer again. So I don't know if they had to revamp, but I loved playing with him. Every now and then I'd go over and his voice did something I'm like I never heard. It was like,
wow.
I mean, he's not just like an Elvis. He can do the Elvis imitator and Johnny Cash now, but he sings stuff, man.
He's got a great voice. Yeah. And I like the way they were, you know, again, I had a very short sample, but a lot of the modern rockabilly, I think they play too fast.
Yeah.
You know, in the authentic 50s and early 60s, it was more swing to it, you know, and that Paralyzed song, the way that you guys were playing it, I thought was very...
Wow.
Yeah, it was really in the pocket.
I didn't even know about that. Right. I did find
you have
one,
to check it out.
and I saved it. And I can't remember what was the closing numbers. He'd do Sea Cruise.
Oh yeah, okay.
I was like he did the Johnny Cash Cocaine Blues. I think it was always at the end and whatever. But it was, and we do a whole Elvis set in there. But
yeah, that really sounds like a fun band. I would really love to see that. That was
fun. It was a little bit, you know, nutty. You know, bands are, you know, band members and all that. But Cade's great singer, and that I had my fun because I do like a lot of that stuff. Particularly the harder edge. The thing I wanted to do with him was a little less pure because he really likes Robert Gordon. You guys know Robert Gordon?
Oh yeah,
yeah. And he could really do. We'd do The Way I Walk and some of that.
Yeah.
You know, stuff he did with Bob Stoner and Link Ray and that, like.
Oh right. Well, man. Robert Gordon did that at least one album with Link Ray.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I was always kind of a fantasy to go off and do a little bit more.
I wish we had I was showing you the videos that my son and I have done. Our newest one is called Rockabilly Cats.
Oh, cool.
And it's not up on the playlist yet for the theater, but yeah, we've got like Jack Scott, Johnny Powers, Lafayette Yarborough, the Galaxies, one of the bands from the UP I was telling you about, Danny Zella and the Zell Rocks, and of course there's no footage, so we've got to come up with making our own videos.
Right.
So yeah, we had clips from Marlon Brando's The Wild One. James Dean's Rebel Without a Cause. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm real anxious for people to see it because it's different. Yeah, Wicked Ruby.
Okay.
Yeah, we got Wicked Ruby, and we used a clip from Metropolis, the silent movie.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Are the Youpers represented here?
Not yet.
No, they're not.
Not yet. We need to.
We used to sell their tape. It was crazy. Me and you, the second week of deer camp and all that. And then a friend of mine wound up in that band for a while. He's another one. He's dead and gone now. But I'm like, Alf, how'd you wind up? We used to play it. His mom had kind of maybe a house of ill repute. I don't know what it was, but there was kind of a diner in the back, and we'd pass the guitar. And when I was just a kid.
Is that in Petoskey?
Yeah. I'm talking way back. And then,
did you know Farner when you were in Petoskey?
I first met Farner with Tyner before, but when he moved up north, I would see him. A friend of mine had a record store up there, and he still was always fishing for those like Northern Soul. Same way Grand Funk found, whatever, some kind of what's a Motown?
Some kind of wonderful, yeah.
Some other stuff. He was still like on that quest, and of course during Guitar Army.
Yeah, they went back to the Pack days. I think they were into the soul.
Yeah, he still was that.
One Monkey Don't Stop No Show.
Yeah.
Harlem Shuffle. They were right into that very early on.
Righteous dude,
Yeah.
Grab you and look you right in the eye.
Oh yeah, firm handshake.
Firm man. Ooh.
Yeah, we text right now. We did a little interview a couple months ago together because he couldn't get here, but he still wants to do this.
So I got it. I don't know this whole story, but I'm down in. I had just seen the reunions in the '90s, and who told me? Mark told me that story. That when they put out that CD, Bosnia.
Yeah.
According to what Mark told me in my memory, is that Mark's still alive. You can ask him. One of the rare people. But he said they asked for like, oh, you taped it? Can we see it? And put it out exactly what they sent him. He didn't get to mix it, so he's very disappointed in it. But I had saw those reunions and that one, and then I went to Nashville right after that. And so Bill Kelly, the guy I was telling you about, who played with Queen and Boston and all the people with city named Chicago, I don't know. He's kind of all great guitar player, great tenor, high tenor, which is why Freddie Mercury used him as a warm-up for Dakota. He said he's the best high tenor he ever heard. Oh. But he was working at the record company where Mark put out his religious records over there in Franklin.
Okay.
And so we're chatting and, going to the stores and stuff. And I started talking about it. He goes, "You'll never see them together again." And I was like, what? And he had gotten old and gotten religion, and he wouldn't tell me what it was. I tried, but he's been correct. We've never seen them together again, and that's been 35 years now, or whatever. Yeah. So, and they were at their peak. I mean, Mark's voice hurt your ears. It was so good when they were better than ever. I mean, that show that had Slash and Paul Schaefer and Frampton. I don't know everybody. It was crazy.
They were so killer.
Man, Mark came out and it talks and played the grand piano for.
I think didn't Mark warm up for that tour doing a Ringo tour or something, or just after that or something?
I did see Mark with Ringo.
Yeah, he was on fire.
Yeah.
And he wrote that book with Chris Englehart here from Bay City right around that.
Is there unreleased tapes from Wagner's studio
with Farner? I did not come across any that I can recall. When I was doing it, I had come across him and Alice writing some of Goes to Hell and Welcome My Nightmare, and I don't know how many generations down they were. And I found some Tim Curry writings from New York, from New Jersey.
Yeah.
That was the cool stuff that I found. I still may have some of that somewhere. But I want to, before we keep moving forward all that, you have, what's that record you got there, Mike? Okay.
Oh, man. So how in the heck do you find one of those?
Well, yeah, that's the first one.
Years ago.
Wow.
Well, I know when Riding On came out, you had already hooked me up with that and a couple other things, and some bootleg stuff. And that was when I met you and Sean in about 94, 95, somewhere. Government Mule, 95, 96.
Wow, okay.
So you were
always dinner with Woody.
Yeah, dude.
That's what goes down. Like,
for sure.
We call it the Woodshed, Alan Woody. Oh
yes,
my God, just
going to Woodshed. For sure. But I remember you're like, I'll tell you the story someday, Scott, but my favorite story is Townes VanZandt. Tell the story, that story, man. He liked you.
Yeah, so when that was a cassette tape,
And that you're talking about
that was I had that. So that was like I think some people carried a driver's license. I just had a cassette tape of singing songs, and my first memory, and see if I'm right, I don't know, but I think he was warming up Ramblin' Jack at the Ark, Ramblin' Jack Elliott, and my brother gave him the tape. We went, but we talked to him, and he got the tape. That was the first time, and so when I encountered him the second time, and this is a story I've told some kids in Ann Arbor because none of them were alive, but they're pretty historically astute down there. At like, it's not old, it's still discount or where they buy and sell used right there by the theater. The alley now is all psychedelic and graffiti. It's really, really cool.
That was school kids. That was
the one is still there. It's all nice now, but it used to be. You could actually drive a van down it, and the bands would go in the theater, but
it's not there anymore.
It's
graffiti anyway.
The graffiti's all there. It's all like that now in it, but there's even that parking structure was newer then, or that's next to it that made the alley, but
right behind it.
Townes came walking down that alley, and dude, I mean, so I was pretty aware of stuff, like the old Quarter tapes, man. I don't know when I got on those, but I realized how great those were. Same how I was with Joe on his live side in the Vanguards, and so to see Townes VanZandt coming down that alley, it was a silhouette. It was like the ghost of Hank Williams. It's just unbelievable,
Yeah.
So then when he said, "Hey Gil, I listened to your tape all the way to Oklahoma," which I always figured that's how I wound up in Oklahoma. I always had these Oklahoma dreams that Townes planted in my mind, But
that's fabulous.
Yeah, he was in pretty good shape, for a while, in the early '80s, and he was at that period. And then he went out with the Cowboy Junkies, took him out. They got on him, and he took me on their bus and stuff, and just wanted to show me VCRs. I wanted to talk about stuff, and Steve Earle, and I don't know, Steve loves him, but he wouldn't say shit to me about Steve Earle, because, I even asked him, I think about the quote, what do you think about this quote? And Steve saying, "I'd stand on Bob Dylan's coffee table in my cowboy boots." And he just wouldn't. He's Townes, he wouldn't address any of it. But I had, and a lot of people had encounters with him, because, if you drink with him or anything, he'd follow you home or whatever, but like I say, he was in good shape for a while, and
did you jam with him on the bus?
No, I sit around and talk with him.
Yeah, he's inspired a lot of songs over the years.
He likes to shoot dice. That's the thing. If you're going to do anything, you'll gamble with you, try to take your money. But no matter how much money you gave him away, he'd lose it all or give it all away into the night, or
Wow.
But I had some good stories from him about like one is about Pancho and Lefty, and Bobby Nelson always tried to get them to do it, Willie, and they tell that story different. Merle would tell it, and Willie, and how it happened all night. And by the time Townes got him out of bed, because they got Merle out of bed to sing it in the morning with Willie, and by the time Townes got there, Townes's impression of the whole thing to me was that Townes, like guys like me who like felt his songs, loved them, and played them, and like owned it, and did all this. And to him, they were reading it; they didn't know the song. You know what I mean? It's like they got a demo and they're reading it, and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And so he was Townes too. So
yeah, right.
I also told him, I said, David Allan Coe ripped you off, man. I said, that Lay With Me in a Field of Stone, that is exactly If I Needed You. And you know what he said to me about that?
What?
Do you think, karma, Gil, karma.
Karma, baby.
Karma will sort this out.
Oh, that's pretty cool, man. Your Townes VanZandt stories was the first time I thought, holy shit. And then you were like, oh, I was best friends with Tyner too. I'm like, I got it. Someday you're going to tell me all these stories. And finally we get to get these all down, man. This is too cool.
Yeah.
Well, you had some good music though, bro. I mean, and then you guys had a band together in the early aughts with Mike Gentry, Pat Cummings.
Yeah, the Shining Farmer.
Amy.
And we're big in Australia, man.
Oh, yeah?
When I left, I pretty much left Mike with everything. It became kind of Shining Farmer became like Mike Gentry's first album.
Mm-hmm.
But he gets, it takes a lot of plays to get any royalty money. I know what it takes. You can get a lot of plays and get like hardly any money. Mm-hmm. And Mike's got some decent checks, but our understanding is it comes out of Australia.
Really?
I think it's Change for Your Trouble that they listen to, which good bass line on that one, So
good job, Gil.
But
and Amy, what was her name?
Williker.
Amy Williker was singing. Yeah. We played a couple shows. I don't know, not a bunch, but we did Old Miami. We did the White's Bar.
Yeah,
we may have done one other one.
In maybe August, we played some shows with them, and
that was when I was in Muddy Gumbo, and that was after knowing you for 10 years at that point, or more.
Yeah,
that was cool. Getting some chill, or almost 10 years. But
Mike's still playing. I still chat with him.
I brought him up some stuff up here.
Cool.
We had him at the Mitten Fest a few years ago with Jeff Yantz, and Mike's still doing his thing.
Yeah, he wrote the kind of songs that the one thing I love about the album, because usually I only want to play bass with like really good drummers. I've been lucky. I play with really good drummers, so the last few years have been really good for that. But with him, it wasn't about that. It was about the songs, and you could write melodically. I could just what McCartney do. Just how a lot of guys did bass albums for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
What would McCartney do on this one, right? So I always was, I thought it was like one of the best examples recorded of my bass playing for sure.
It's a good record, The Shining Farmer. If people can look that one up.
Yeah.
So tell me, what's the Tyner story that you've never been able to tell that you're going to leave us with today?
Oh, man.
That you could say, holy shit, I've never told anybody this one, but I'm going to finally let it out of the cage.
Well, so we had our New York Times,
Yeah.
And the oddest thing, well, the amazing thing about Rob Tyner in New York City, you got to realize, other than like John Lennon getting killed, people didn't care about anybody. People were there. You'd see whoever. Not Rob Tyner, man. They freaking stopped. People knew him. It was just weird, And other people have said that,
Mm-hmm.
And, one of our first trips, he wanted to go to the White Horse, where Dylan Thomas, drank himself and walked out and died, I think, which is how we started. But we sang in the alley with one of the Jay and the Americans. There's two Jays.
Yeah, Jay Black is the newest one.
He was a real good-looking Jay.
That might be Jay Black, yeah.
In Little. Bring it on home to me, baby. But one of the funniest things that always made me wonder, because Rob loved Becky. They were, in those days, didn't tell people you're married or whatever, but he was with Becky young. But they were also legends from playing the Madison Square Garden with Led Zeppelin, the MC5. It's still like reverberated through New York, I don't know what those boys did that night, but we were in a place, and there's this and that, and there was a famous porn star, and and Rob was not, he was loyal to his wife, but she really wanted to say hi to him, and and everything, and we and I watched this, and I was like, that's just odd, what I mean?
Didn't register.
This one was out of the ordinary.
Well, I think the New York punk scene really appreciated the MC5 and the Stooges way more than maybe the rest of the country did.
Oh man,
they recognized how important they were, in the whole punk rock movement.
That's one of my best stories. Is when Joey Ramone, we went. So Rob's wife had a catering company. When you're talking about caterers, they were called Queen of Cups, and Liz Boutsikaris, her family owned the Lindell AC, famous Detroit, and Liz Jackson was their name, but they did catering for bands and stuff. So me and Rob, when we were like always scubbing in on something, you know, but we scubbed in on that a lot. So one night they were playing, and I wish I knew who could remember who was warm up, but it was like the old Grand Circus or something. And we go in, and Joey Ramone is steaming his face, and it's not doing anything but making his face red, you know. so Rob comes over, and Rob was a Renaissance man. Like Rob could like take this thing and turn it into a flute. He just was. If Rob had lived, like he could do so many things. He was really, really amazing guy. So it says, oh, wait. Now, Rob seems oblivious that this guy is like seeing the second coming. You know, Joey Ramone, you ask him, he'd say, yeah, I worship Rob Tyner. He would tell you. You know, Rob seems oblivious of this. Joey's like looking like he's seeing a ghost or something. Rob says, here's what you do, man. So he goes and gets some tea from Becky. You got to have this kind of tea, and you got to have lemon in there, and you got to have some honey in there. And then Rob, the ever-present pint of Jim Beam it was, throws it. And I don't think Joey ever drank.
Oh.
And to tell you the truth, I came in late on a lot of punk and stuff. I just thought they weren't good. And to me, I was always looking at it through those eyes. And he throws it, he drinks. I think maybe the Ramones played one of the best gigs they ever played.
No doubt.
And even I liked the Ramones that night. You know? But what was really weird about that was, I don't know where this came from. Rob pulled out the white Back in the USA t-shirt and handed it to him. Where it came from, I have no idea. I saw pictures with Joey with that shirt on. Joey handed him a Ramones shirt, like the original one, which Rob sized up the size of it and immediately handed to me, which I had through the record store days, and I promised it to many, many people. I don't know where it wound up or who really got it in the end, but I carried it around. I tell, but there's no way to prove it. You know, this came from Joey to Rob. You know,
yeah.
But I kept it for many, many.
Gil, was there any clue at all that Rob's health had declined or anything?
Rob had been having heart problems, but he had been being really good. You know, he viewed life. Rob didn't hardly drink anymore. You know, he only smoked a little bit of homegrown, and nothing like nowadays. In fact, he liked there was a guy who lived at the cemetery where Rob is buried. This old non-vet, and he grew a little bit of. Was
he growing into the cemetery?
It was just leaf. You know? Rob smoked like a Native American. He had a peace pipe thing, and he liked really, really weak weed. You know, he had just been in and had a clean bill of health like 2 weeks before. Wow. And he said, "You're doing great." He kept his weight down. He had genetics. You know, his brother Rick became a good friend of mine, and they're built very much the same. And I think it's what happened to their dad. And Rick was really scared after that because Rick was actually 4 years older than Rob. Rob stole Rick's birthday for record deals and stuff. In fact, I went to Rob's birthday party many, many years not knowing it was the wrong.
Did Becky played a pretty important role in that book, kind of filling in the gaps and so on.
She's so cool.
Do you ever see her, or what's happening with her life now?
And
their
sorry,
kids
Becky.
Must be all in their 30s or 40s, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, young Rob and Amy and Elizabeth, and I hate to say that how bad I'm one of those people that I'm really bad about. You know, I go off and do my thing, and I did see her when I went back down. She came out, and also she hangs out with Jeff's widow, who then got married and he died too. You know, so and we have a lot of mutual friends, Emma, but. I haven't been really bad about staying.
You also moved to
I moved.
Minnesota
I was gone
for a
to
long
Minnesota.
time.
Yeah.
And I lost track of you except for on Facebook. So all your connections coming out of the 90s and the early aughts.
Yeah, I disappeared.
Yeah.
And then,
you did a lot of different stuff.
Yeah, and then when I came back, I really got in. I was playing some solo stuff, but I really got into playing in bands again and playing bass. And like the last 5 years, it's been really, and you know, I came into this northern Michigan scene where there's a lot of transplanted guys, there's a lot of great guys, a lot of the old guys are leaving now, but a lot of them had come up here, you know.
Drew Abbott lives up there for a while. He was telling
still
us
around.
He came out on our show not too long ago.
Yeah. There's some really really good stuff.
Good jazz up there too. I see some of the old jazz cats, and Bob James people are up there, and you're surrounded with them. You live near TC or Charlevoix?
We play. I'm in Cadillac now.
Cadillac, okay.
But we play that Third Coast a lot. Yeah. Now we're playing all the way through it, all the way to Charlevoix. So, but we're up there, and then all the way down to Houghton, Higgins, and my other band is playing Saturday night in Leroy. At seems like there's a lot of clubs that turned over, clubs and restaurants. Like COVID, there's a lot of new owners, and like this lady in particular, seems to be a new owner, and she booked it late, and I'm like, no one, even in the city, they're done at 11 anymore. Yeah. So she's got us going on. I'm like, I don't know. We'll probably be playing to nobody at midnight, but yeah, I know. Right. I love the
6 and 7 o'clock gigs.
Optimism.
Man.
I know.
Right. Hopefully, some people come out.
Now downtown, like Charlevoix's, like TC, they do roam around. That place we play, almost have a house band gig there. It's up on this flight deck or whatever they call it.
I went by there like a few months ago.
It's open, and we're a loud ass rock band, and so they hear us all, and so they keep coming up all night. So there is one of the rare places.
What's that called?
It's a Merrick's, but they've got a fly bridge. They got a couple floors of like good restaurant. And
okay.
The third.
I saw some of those ads on Facebook. So the fly bridge, this is the elevated space.
Yeah. And it's just rock and roll and music. And
that's neat.
We played there last Saturday, and they're wild. And I don't know.
People dancing and.
Oh man, they dance.
I love that.
We get a lot of Chicago people. I have my theories because I kind of watch it now, and one is that they're all stoned, but all these old stone people. But the other thing, I think they like real music. Especially we're playing classic rock. We're playing the stuff they know, and they think we're really good, which is cool. But I think they see us playing together, and they don't see that thing that much anymore organically.
It's funny you say that. That's one of the calling things. I'll do a Gordon Lightfoot tune. I'll do some 70s and 60s tune, just throw them in there. And these people will come up and put money in my case and say, thank you for still doing that.
I know.
It's gone. Like it's something you haven't heard in forever live.
So
that's cool, man.
It seems to be. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. I think the live thing is a big deal still for the older crew.
Because the other band I did a bunch of gigs up there, 100 gigs, was the Irish band. I had went into the Irish band like on a one-off bass, wound up playing guitar for a whole bunch of shows, and we played all up and down the coast, and they play all the time, and that was kind of fun.
What's that band?
It's called the Haymakers now. When I was in it, it was the old Mission Fiddlevine, and actually orchestra quality guys, fiddler, and one of the best like flute player, like tin flute player, and great bagpiper, world class.
Nice. Wow.
But now it's like guitar. There's a squeeze box. There's the flute and a bass player and drummer. And but we weren't just like the trad type stuff. We were kind of getting a little bit more of the edge, And I kind of like the Irish, the rebel part of it. I like the anti-fascist part of it. That appeals to me. That stuff. I love the history of the music.
That might be making a strong comeback.
That part I always really liked of it. So, and I'd sing like the Pogue songs and stuff. I'd throw them in there. Come on, let's do Daddy Old Town. So
and you left Ann Arbor in the record store, was it 99, 2000, 2001, somewhere around there? 2005?
Yeah, I always figured, I remember iTunes was 2002, and I knew the writing was on the wall.
You told me that. I remember that.
But I used to still go in Saturdays and work because I could always write. I could always sit in there and write, and I'd always go to Cottage Inn and get a sub, and I could sit in there and be around it all, and it was always inspiring to me,
At what store?
It's called Discs and Tapes. That was in Brighton.
Right, that's what I thought.
And it made its way to Howell, though. It kept going down Grand River, further and further west. I think we made 5 stops,
Sean ended it all down in Howell.
Yeah. He's still got a bunch of it in his storage shed.
Yes, he does.
But, albums came back. Sean did it.
He was ready.
He's ready for it, right?
Well, Gil, thank you for your stories, your career.
Yeah, it was so great.
Your friendships. Dude, you are one of them linchpins that got to be there on the scene, whether you were young or older or a player.
So many of it I didn't know at the time. Yeah. You know, that's one thing when you're a kid. Like, there was no way I could reflect on, like, this is Lester Bangs, who's he, you know, or
you were just living it,
you know, or even Dick, you know, like, or whatever, Wagner, some of those guys, you know, but yeah.
And you know you've been around for a while because you put out a compilation album.
Oh man.
Well, keep doing it, Gil, and maybe we can have another round. If you put anything out, let's do another one to promote your record.
I think you're due, right? You haven't put anything out in about 8 years.
I used to know that I'm not going to come about the record, talk about the record, and I tell stories, and they'd never even talk about the record. You know,
this is the opposite. No. So now you got to come back with a record, and then tell us the stories you forgot. I did record some stuff when I came to Minnesota. Some guys up there in Petoskey, and I did record out in Minnesota. I made one called "Sweet Sounds of Freedom," and actually, the kid I recorded that with, who produced it, anytime you hear that guitar on baseball or football or NASCAR, that's him. Oh, really?
Jeremy Dinnigan. Yeah, he's doing well. It's like that guy.
Damn.
Yeah. It was cool. I kind of thought they liked me more than I did. It was like I was this novel old dude, and what do you got? And I'd play him a song. And they'd go to town, and you know,
giving them some inspiration there.
But so they were really kind, and you know.
Did you ever run into the Jayhawks when you were in Minnesota?
I went to a couple Jayhawk shows.
These guys were the Jayhawks Central at their record store. The first shows they did in Michigan were coming to play at the record store.
I have pictures. And I actually recently came across them. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, Gil, thank you for coming, man, and all the stuff, bro.
Right, man. It was great.
Thank you.
On behalf of our hosts, we would like to thank the Michigan Rock Legends Hall of Fame, our guests, and especially our listeners. The MMHP is found on the 989 network, as well as all familiar podcast hubs. Up-to-the-minute information, as well as Dr. J and Sir Fred's Michigan Music Songs of the Week, can be found on the MMHP's Facebook page, /MMHP989. You can connect with Scott at scottbakermusic.com, Dr. J at michiganrockandrolllegends.com, Sir Fred at fredrife.com, and Mr. Mike on YouTube as MRBTEE1.
And on behalf of Dr. J, Sir Fred, Mr. Mike, and myself, Scott Baker, we would like to thank Eddie Switek for being the voice of the MMHP and the 989.
So you mentioned Michael Katon.
Yeah, you forgot to mention those. You shoot.
We did 2 or 3 festivals in Europe
Stay on the mic.
with him when I played with Lazy Lester.
I got a question.
And
we'll do a pickup.
I was with him.
He was always the guitar player from hell.
Yeah, the boogeyman.
You know,
Boogeyman from hell.
Gil, I got one more segment I got to get really quick. Get back on that mic if you can. Talking about Michael Katon, and I totally wanted to come around to this. Talk about the tour in Europe where you had Buddy Miles pushing him up the stairs.
So, and he knows Lazy Lester. And those...
I was his manager.
Okay, those Chicago guys, man. Sun Seals but yeah, so there's a guy who did all the biggest stage, Renee, and he owned a bar out there in Belgium called the Crossroads. But yeah, Buddy Miles. Oh, you can't speak ill of the. Yeah, but
this will run after the show, like after the credits.
After the
yeah.
Well, first he told him, he's like, I gotta pee, It's like he cut him off like a whole gallon. He's like, he filled it up. But yeah, trying to get him up there, pushing his ass, and he's like, man, he's crapped his pants or something.
He played the whole show with crap pants.
But you know what, man? Have you ever watched Buddy when he does them changes on Midnight Special or whatever? Like high as hell on national TV, and you may be cool, but you'll never be.
Buddy Miles, cool.
Oh my god, sweating his ass off, just cranked, and like, oh.
You guys pushed him up the stairs and repeated the freaking.
My guy was he was a drummer. I think he was he in Buddy Guy's band, and he would create time to make the donuts, Gil. Time to make the donuts, I don't know when you guys Lazy Lester, was that before or after me?
Well, it was.
Was it Gary years or?
89, 90. That was the start of it.
Okay, so that was a little before me. Then I came in. And I told Mike at the time, because I loved Gary, I'm like, don't fire him, don't fire him. You know, keep them together, Gary and Johnny. I loved him.
He was big in like Norway and Finland, and I mean, on the radio, you know.
Yeah, oh yeah, Mike. You mean they play him? Yeah, yeah.
You did how many European tours with Katon?
I did a few of them, a few years. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
He'd jump on bass and head out of the shop, and I'd be like, "Where's Gil? Oh, he's on tour right now." That's when I got to meet Katon. He'd come in and he'd give me all the CDs. Then he'd go, "Make sure you pays for them." I'd go up there, and Sean would be like, "Just give me this."
Was Johnny B playing with Katon on those tours?
He came right after me.
Okay.
And you know, the funny thing is, when I came in, I wanted to play with Johnny Eppinga because he's back around with Mike. But I loved he's got that real Mitch Mitchell style. And when he changed the band, he brought in Don Denniston, and Don was real four on the floor. And but Don was very, very cool. And it's another thing I wish I would have appreciated it more in the time. I wish I wouldn't have been such a hard head musically, and I would have went along with it. Don was good at just chasing Mike, and I wanted to do everything right, and so we fought musically a little bit. But Don, if I would have went to anything and eulogized, Don tried to talk sense to me, which is, I was gonna get off the bus, which guys do, and he came out there and he's like, 99% of guys playing are trying to do what you're doing right now, and you're screwing it up, and Don was, but of course then we crossed paths again later because he worked with Mike and he had come in some of our later projects. Great guy, passed away a couple years ago. Great, loved British Invasion. He was Don Brewer's drum tech during Seger.
Okay.
And, his best story was they would do a little bit of the marching powder, and Bob would want to go faster. And Don Denniston had taken a police siren and put it on a metronome, and they mounted it to Don Brewer's hi-hat. And Bob would go, "Come on, Don," and Don would be pointing at it. There's the tempo, Bob.
Right there.
And Don Brewer is a machine. I mean, I don't know if you've watched him and Seger over the years. They're just phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, you would sit there and go like, "Is it the record?" Oh my God, they were so. But Bob rehearsed some guys to death. He would. He was like,
Punch Andrews.
Do they need this much? But Brewer was a huge part of that. Ever since Charlie. If you can ever get Charlie, I love Charlie.
I talked to him last week,
awesome.
And he's in the hospital again.
Is he? Tell him I said hello. I love him.
I was telling him we only have a few dates left in this year's podcast, and he says, "I'm in the hospital. Just had another big surgery, buddy. I will talk to you soon." So.
Yeah. Yeah, great guy. I love Charlie. He was a very angry man for a while, and then he chilled out. But
he got his career taken away from him.
A really bad break. Yeah. And those of us who are, fans of it, Charlie was the silver bullet, man. If there really ever was one, man. I mean, he was.
Drew talked so highly of him when he was here too.
Oh yeah, yeah. Anybody who's on the inside knows it, man. He would just. I think he told me that you make more money when you sing backups, and Charlie sang backups. But when they did the live album, first of all, Punch didn't want to do it live. He didn't trust him to do it. And then when they did it, he said, this albums before Charlie worked, some of those were like $10 a song, $10 and $25 a song, all the way up to, Smoking OPs and that. And Punch came in and said, "I'll give you guys all like $25,000, which was unheard of. And the band was like, "We'll take it. We'll all take it." And Punch didn't do it. And Charlie told me that at one time he had made, it was hundreds of thousands of dollars. It was a few $100,000 or something. And give Punch Andrews credit on that one, because a lot of guys would be like, and then he'd be taking all the money. So
he came through with it.
Yeah, he went against their wishes, until the day he died. Every time I drank with Jackson Spires, complained about Al Nally stealing all the Blackfoot money, and Jackson sold it all for $5,000. Highway Song, all that stuff, yeah. And every time he had a few pops, he would the old complaints would come on.
Oh, I'll be damned. Wow, man.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, so Punch did him right there.
Good.
Yeah. Speaking of the live album, Drew told us that they cut one in LA like the week before, a few days before, and it was even better than
Really?
Live Bullet, yeah. He says there's a bootleg of it online. He says you guys can find it pretty easy. He says we were way better on that record than the one that actually came out. And he says, but that solo is my favorite solo. The one he did on the one that the Colbo. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. I was telling him because I opened a record store. I picked an exit in the '80s, and went out to Brighton.
Yeah.
And when I would sit behind the counter and be playing, and the guys would come in, I was telling them because I was looking at SRC, and which brother? Glenn.
Yeah, Glenn Quackenbush.
See, and I used to could tell them their name. That was my story. Glenn came in, and I was playing. He goes, "Oh, I used to be in a band, long time ago, man." Oh, what was it? Oh, it's called SRC. So I've heard SRC. Why don't you try me? He said, well, tell me what you played. Keyboards. I go, oh, then you would be Gary's brother, Glenn, wouldn't you? Of course, those guys in those days were still playing at the South Lion Hotel sometimes and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You had a record shop in Brighton?
Yep, And my partner is a good friend of Scott's. Stayed with it way long after I did.
Well, I owned a record shop for a long time. And then when I moved to Ann Arbor.
Yeah, but at that time I thought, what did all these guys retire and move to Green Oak Township? And I guess it kind of was because we had.
Well, Brighton has got.
We had so many
huge.
Out there.
I had to go to the medical.
I know now it's huge.
The U of M thing down there, and I said, holy cow, this has grown.
Yeah.
Well, nobody wants to live in the city. They all want to move out. You know.
Brighton used to be like a suburb of Ann Arbor, but now it's like a big town.
Filled in, yeah. There was a lot of guys that lived there, like Pep Perrin lived at Whitmore Lake from Seger's band, and one of the last Rare Earth guys, and there was a lot of guys living. I was trying to think, was it Kendricks or David Ruffin was living out in.
Really?
He died out there.
No kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Who was that? Yeah.
David Ruffin.
Oh, really?
I just watched a documentary on him.
Yeah.
Oh.
Didn't say where he died, but.
Yeah, he was living out in that Green Oak Township.
Thank you, Gil.
All right.